Build prayerfully. Because Nehemiah, he didn't know what was going to happen a few chapters down the road. But right now, we know that prayer changes things. We know that prayer can change some hearts. We know prayer can change some circumstances. Nehemiah right now was just on his bended knees prayerful. The fact is that prayer is our communication with God. If we want to get somewhere in life, if we want to grow spiritually, we need to be in prayer. Come on somebody. We don't grow because we're not in the Word. Come on, we're not growing because we're not spending time with God. Come on,
you're right.
Kindergarten, 12th grade. Lauren is not going to go to 12th grade next year. There's some things that Lauren has to know. There's some classes Lauren has to take. There's some teachers that need to share with Lauren with some things she needs to know. She needs to know more than ABC. 1, 2, 3. And right now, some of us, that's where we're at. Sunday, ABC. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Come back next week. ABC. 1, 2, 3. We cannot grow as a body of Christ if only we know our ABC and 1, 2, 3s. But we need to come where we need to hear what God has to say. Sunday school, Bible study, but we ought to stay prayerful. That's where we have communication with God. So what am I saying? Pastor Banks, stay prayerful. Don't stop building. Because Nehemiah has a task that's before him. Can we get back to the text? He was even building, about to build in the midst of opposition. The text says, he's in front of the king, he's the cupbearer. So as he's in a relationship with the king, in chapter 2, he goes before the king day in and day out. His job was a cupbearer. So therefore, everything that the king drank, he had to drink it first. To make sure that nothing was, in the cup. Come on, help me. That something wasn't in the cup that would harm the king. And so therefore, the king had been watching him. On this particular day, the king had asked him, he noticed there was something different about him today. Like we ought to be able to discern when we look at other folks that there's something going on with you. The king noticed that there was something wrong with Nehemiah.
Yes, sir.
Am I in the text? Can you look at chapter 2 with me?
Go ahead.
The king asked him, said, you look kind of strange today. Something's not right with you. And look at verse 2. I'm in the book. The king said, why does your face look so sad when you are not ill? He recognized something was going on. He recognized it was a sadness of heart. And so now what happens is, this gives Nehemiah an opportunity to share with him the plight of his people. And so as he shares it, he says, here's what's going on, king. I need your help. He acknowledged, he reverenced the king and told the king what was going on. And I like it because God had placed him in position that down the road he was going to need something from the king. Because of his relationship with the king, he was able to help some folks out. Because he had a relationship with the king. But as the king granted, chapter 2, the king granted him this request. He said, okay, he said, what's going on, my people? The walls are come down, the city's been ruined, my heart is heavy, the people where my fathers lie, I'm worried about them, and I want to go back and help them. And the king said, okay, what do you want? So he asked for a leave of absence. And can I go back and help my people? And you know how that is. Come on, y'all looking at me funny. When you want to go on vacation, come on, somebody. When you want to go on vacation, you ask your employer, hey, can I take 2 weeks off? And they say yes or no. You just don't take 2 weeks off and leave them, do you? UP won't let you do that. Stan Olsen won't let you do that. U.S. Bank won't let you just leave. So he went, he reverenced the king, he went to him, and he asked the king if he can go help his people, if he can help them out and share some things with them. And I'm getting to the opposition here in a second. So Nehemiah got there, he inspected the walls and looked at the walls, and he was devastated. If you look at me about, I'm in chapter 2, verse number 11. He went there and he stayed 3 days and 3 nights, and he's kind of examining some things and trying to figure out. Imagine he's sad and he's hurt because of the condition of his people, the city. So now he's in around verse 13. It says, chapter about 9, I went through the valley gate toward Jackal Well and Dung Gate, examined the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates were destroyed by fire. And so now he's taking a look at the situation. He's in there and he's wondering what is going on. And now he has decided, God had placed on his heart that he would rebuild. Because he was prayerful, he got some guidance, but now he has decided to rebuild. Now here comes some opposition. And leaders have to know how and to understand how to build in the midst of opposition, in the midst of your enemy's camp, in the midst of when everybody else is saying around you who don't want you to rebuild, who don't want you to live a better life, who don't want you to grow, who don't want you to live more like Christ. There's going to be some opposition. Have you faced some opposition? No doubt that the pastor faces opposition daily. They say if you cut off the head, the body would just die. And the fact is that the enemy is going after the leader. Come on, we're seeing it in the papers. We're seeing that the pastor is under attack. But man, so now Nehemiah helps us how to thrive and lead in the midst of opposition. Can I show you the opposition? Look at chapter 2, verse number 10. I'm starting to see some opposition. They'd heard some things, Pastor Banks. They heard that the church was growing down here on 20th and Willow Street. They hear that the church is growing spiritually and financially. They seeing the church on TV. They're seeing, come on, I'm talking about you, Pleasant Green. They're seeing you out in the community. They're seeing you witnessing and sharing the gospel, but the enemy's not happy right now. Just like they were without Nehemiah. We find the fact is around verse number 10. We find the fact, here comes some enemies, and around verse number 19, we see the enemies coming. 19 says, but Sanballat and the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official and Geshem the Arab heard about this, and they mocked and ridiculed us. They heard that he was about to rebuild the walls. They had heard some grumblings and some rumblings, and now here comes opposition. Don't you know that they did not want him to rebuild? They were trying to stop God's plan. But what I like about Nehemiah already prayed. He had the vision, so he was ready to deal with the opposition. The opposition, y'all know who he is. The enemy, Satan, the great liar himself, the deceiver. He knows when God is about to do some great things. The fact is, his job is to disrupt, distract, and destroy what God has given the leader. Come on, somebody. Is he in your home right now? Trying to wreck a marriage, break up a family, trying to get you to leave it? Come on, maybe I'm the only one in the building right now, but he knows my address. He knows where I live. He knows that God is doing some things in the life of my children and my family and ministry. Come on, you're looking at me funny. Just a few weeks ago, you was testifying that you lost your job. The enemy was on the attack and doing everything he can to throw you off track. He's not only messing with me, but he's messing with you. Because the fact is, he knows what God is about to do. All I'm trying to say is that the enemy's job, we got to keep building in the midst of opposition. The fact is that Nehemiah understood what the enemy's role was. And the fact is that the haters, as we call them nowadays, when God is blessing you, your marriage and your home and your job, there's always an enemy who's not pleased. Come on, somebody. When you get blessed, the enemy doesn't want to see you blessed. You get the new house and you get the new car. There's always somebody who has something to say. Come on, somebody. Be careful. You might be sitting next to that person. They're mad because God blessed you. I heard a preacher say, don't be mad at me about my blessings. Get mad with God. Take it up with God. He blessed me. In the midst of opposition. In the midst of you hating against me. God bless me. Pastor Banks, keep on building. No matter what the enemy says, no matter what folks are saying.
You help it.
Keep on preaching.
All right.
Even on the inside.
Yeah.
I understand Nehemiah understood there's some folks that are going to be with you,
Yeah.
and there's some folks that are going to be without you. You're looking at me funny right now, Pastor Banks. There's going to be some folks who are going to be on board with your ministries. And they're going to be there when you need them the most. And when you put a vision before the church. But then there's going to be some folks who aren't going to be with you.
All right.
Come on, somebody. There's going to be some folks making phone calls talking about, do y'all hear what the pastor's doing? He's trying to build a new sanctuary. He know we can't build no sanctuary. Come on, somebody. You ain't laughing because you made the call. You made that phone call. Pastor trying to start a couples ministry. We don't need no couples ministry. I'm doing just fine. Come on, somebody. When marriages are falling all apart, what I'm trying to say is that the pastor has to preach and build in the midst of opposition.
All right.
That's all I'm trying to say. You as leaders, God has given you a plan and a vision, but sometimes you got to keep on building. You got to press your way. You might have to leave some folks behind. Because if God is on your side, it's going to be all right. Nehemiah, I know this ain't exciting, but Nehemiah did not stop building in the midst of opposition. Chapter 2. Get back to the text. So, we see the fact is they're about to build, and they had heard what was going on in chapter 2. So now we know the enemy has come on. They've heard some things of what's going on. The grumblings around verse 19. And so now he has to respond to his enemy. Verse number 19, he talked about he was getting mocked. Have you been mocked before? Have you been ridiculed before? Have you been asked, what are you doing down here on 20th and Willis Avenue? Pastor Banks, if they ask you that question, what are you doing? And the fact is, we need to understand that as the people of God, as the flock, here's where we come in at. We have to continue to be supportive of the ministries. Sometimes the growth is slow within. It's slowed within. Because there's sometimes, in Nehemiah's case, there's probably some folks in the camp that might have slowed down the process. Had some doubt about ministry, had some doubt that he can even build this wall. So the growth might have been stopped within. So we as a flock, what does this got to do with us? That we got to be on board with ministry. We got to be able, just like the builders of the wall here come in chapter 3, now we see the building coming on. The fact is that God has a plan. And we are included in the plan. All right.
Yes, sir.
Nehemiah chapter 3 did not build the wall all by himself. He had some help. Am I in the text? Everybody look at chapter 3. Look down at chapter 3 if you would. Might be titled Builders of the Wall. The fact is that Nehemiah had help. God sent him some help. In order to build the wall, the 10 gates, you talk about, stay in your text, you read it when you get home. Chapter 3 talks about how the gates, how the walls got built. He had help. What does that say to us, the flock, as we're encouraging the pastor? We got to continue to get behind the pastor. We got to continue to support ministries. You're looking at me funny right now. That's all right. Continue to use our time, treasures, and talents. Come on, you're still looking at me funny. What am I saying? If God has given you a gift to be part of the vision of the ministry, use it. I know this ain't right. But I'm encouraging you. Whatever gift you have, as it fits into the ministry, the plan of the pastor, allow your gift to be used.
Talk.